The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of The Shit podcast. I'd like to welcome back my guest, Mr. Josh Castro, stand-up comedian from Austin, Texas. Welcome back, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on this episode. I have another weird fact for you.
Está cagado.
And está cagado. It's the shit, bro. You know, and this one's a little bit gangster, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know you're from like Segundo Barrio in El Paso.
Yeah. There you go.
And I know that on the last episode we were talking about you graduating from Bowie. Just a correction, graduated from Austin.
Yeah.
But I thought he was that ghetto, but no, he's not. He's like he's Austin ghetto, not Bowie ghetto.
Well,
you know,
the difference is there is that I sold to Bowie.
You sold the Bowie. Yeah. I think we all identify with Bowie because of the bakery. You know, we're all like, hey, Bowie Bakery.
I have some great friends there, you know, McGoffin area, but love it, dude. It's
cool, man.
Yeah.
So, well, welcome back. It's good to have you. You're actually in Juarez, dude, doing a podcast. So
love to be here.
I'm glad you're here. You know, I think there's a lot of people that are still scared to come to Juarez. Look, it's where you hang out, and it's who you associate with. I think.
Yeah, don't be a bitch.
Yeah.
Don't be a bitch. Come on over. If you're taking a shit and your legs are going numb, come on over.
There's like 3 million people in this town. They all live here. It's not all that bad. But thanks for coming with me to this to do the podcast here in Ciudad Juarez. I'm proud to be doing this podcast in English and Spanish.
Gracias.
But I have a very interesting topic for us today that I found. What do you think of when I say the word Julius Caesar?
Like when I first heard it, I was like, the boxer?
The boxer? You know,
El boxeo?
Yeah, Julius Caesar. Julio Cesar Chavez.
He's got a mean right.
We're talking about Gaius Julius Caesar.
Gotcha.
You know, Gaius Julius Caesar. A little bit about him. There's a lot to know about him, and I know a lot of the fans out there are going to start writing comments on the history of it. Look, I found this article. I thought it was great. Julius Caesar was actually a Roman general. Mm-hmm. And he got into the military as a way to kind of earn money for his family. He came from a prestigious family.
I mean, who would?
But just not rich family anymore.
Right.
Like they had gotten out of politics over the years, and so he got into it. And he was actually a very good general. I mean, he won a lot of battles. There was a civil war. He was actually part of the group of guys that overthrew the Roman Republic and made an empire, imperialistic, you know. And
so, like the movie Gladiator, but nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Exactly like Gladiator, but different.
Just completely off.
Yeah, just completely different.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and so Julius, at the time that Julius Caesar was around, he wasn't quite a general at this time, but he was a military man, and he was a prestigious military man, and there was a lot of crime in the Mediterranean Sea.
Got it.
Right? They had a problem, and the big problem was pirates.
Piratas.
So this guy gets kidnapped by pirates, and they're like, "We need 20 talents for ransom." And
Talents. Like,
well, talents was a type of money back then.
Oh, like I was thinking like bird talents.
No, talents.
Like,
talents. You know,
they
that's
asked, what they called them.
Yeah, they asked 20 talents for his, you know, as a monetary value in the Roman Empire, and he laughed and he said, "You should ask for 50." Right, and his pirate.
Wait a second, you sure he wasn't from Mexico?
No. I mean, he was like, "No, 20 is too little. You should ask for 50." Right. And so this whole time that he's being kidnapped, he like starts dominating the kidnappers, right? He starts telling them like gangster, bro. He's like, "Nah, you guys are making too much noise. You're not letting me sleep." He was telling the pirate stuff like that, like, you know, like, "Hey, knock it off."
The
you know,
nerve of this guy.
No, like he's like, "Knock it off," you know, and they're like, "What?" And the funny part is they started listening to him, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, you guys," he even played like the pirate games that they would play, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think you guys are good at this stuff." And he just like
he just roasted him.
He was just roasting the pirates the whole time. He looked at, and they were like, "What?
You ain't pirates, motherfuckers."
Could you imagine being kidnapped and then you're just like making fun of the kidnappers all the time?
I would totally roast it. Like, if I was ready to get killed and they were digging my grave, I'd throw the shovel over there. Like, y'all go get it. You know,
but he was dominating the pirates.
Wow.
Like he was like, hey, it's bedtime. You guys are bothering me. Let me see some of the stuff here. He just didn't want to act like he was a captive. He's like, no, I'm not your captive.
I mean, you play the part. You eventually take it over, right?
Yeah, and it says the article that I looked up in Encyclopedia Britannica said that the pirates were like dumbfounded. Mm-hmm. They're like
we've never had
a guy.
We've never had a prisoner that talks shit to us.
He laughed at him because they didn't know how to read.
Oh well.
He was like, you don't know how to read? You guys are stupid. And he's making fun of these guys, and so for 38 days he was captive.
I'm educated. You're not.
I'm educated. You're not. And he kept telling the guys, I don't know, maybe I'll crucify you, maybe I won't. He started telling them that. He's like telling the pirates.
Yeah, you ever heard of this dude named Jesus?
Yeah. Well, this was before Jesus.
Well, still, but
but he was like, hey,
I'm pretty sure they prophesize it.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, there's this thing we do.
Yeah, we got this thing that we do back home. You guys call yourself pirates. Hey, let me pitch this to you. We got something a little bit better going on land.
I can't imagine like the whole thing is like, do you know who I am? He's like,
do you know who I am?
Do you know
who you kidnapped?
Do you know who you kidnapped? You kidnapped me. You kidnapped me and my guys,
AKA Maximus.
Yeah, 38 days.
Wow.
He was kidnapped for 38 days.
I would totally give my kidnappers a run for their money.
For 38 days.
I'm gonna make it a chore to kill me.
Yeah,
you want to kill me? I am gonna be worth every cent that you're gonna make off of my head.
Yeah, no, he's like, hey, you're not asking enough. I'm worth more than that, dude. Like I'm worth like double that and then another 10.
Oh, and if you're gonna put me in a video, times 10. I'm just gonna ¿sabes qué?
Yeah. So what happens is after 38 days, they finally get the ransom, bro. They get paid. They pay it.
They actually did through it.
They pay the ransom.
Went through it.
So you know what this dude does? He goes back to Rome, raises up an army, and then he goes hunting them down.
I would too.
And he finds them.
I would too.
He finds these guys and he recaptures these guys in the ocean.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then he takes them and they take him to prison.
Wow.
Right? And
that's some gangster shit.
Like Julius Caesar, ultimate gangster. You know what I'm saying?
Ultimate gangster, bro.
He picks these guys up and they take him back to prison.
Wow.
He raises an army. Like the dude raises, I guess it's a navy, right? He raises a navy, goes back, grabs these guys, puts them in prison. Mm-hmm. And before their trial, he goes down into the jail cell and he says, crucify him. and then they crucified him.
Throw him to the lions.
No, they crucified him.
Wow.
Right? And he says, on my authority, go ahead and crucify these guys.
Wow. So he took them out.
Took them all out, dude.
That's how you gangster shit. That's how if you're going to kidnap me, like, you better kill me. Yeah. And if not, you better be ready for hell when I come back for you.
That's right. Well, I mean, that... And it was just this overpowering attitude that he had. Yeah. This personality. I mean, he became one of the biggest influential generals of his time. This was like the year. I don't know if you know how the calendar worked back then, but anything before Jesus was counted negatively.
Yeah.
Right. So he was born around 100 or 60.
Can you imagine if that, like, somebody just took up that same attitude, like in today's time? Like if a comedian just came up on stage, like, you ain't a comedian. Let me get that. Take it.
No, I can imagine. I've seen that kind of stuff go down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, but
some Julius Caesar shit.
Yeah, but he died in the year 44. He actually went on to become a very important general. They overthrew the Republic, the Roman Republic, and then it became.
Italy.
No. Became an imperialistic government. So where they were actually out conquering now.
Yeah.
It was the Empire of Rome.
Okay.
And that lasted for a while until one of his buddies turned and went back to the Senate.
Is he the one that stabbed him in the back?
They actually had him. They actually murdered him, and it was
Wasn't
like
a pirate.
It was no. It was the year 44.
Had to be a pirate.
So it was 44 years after Christ that this guy gets taken out.
So he lived a long life. So that must have happened to his early days. And
well, they say when I was doing the research, it said that he was born around the year 60. And he went ahead and lived to 44. So what would that be? 88, 84? No, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
If you throw numbers at me, I'll tell you a color.
Yeah, no, but let's
3
see.
plus 3, orange.
And 75 before Christ is when he gets kidnapped. You know, and 25 years.
I mean, this dude it looks like he lived a pretty long life to kind of execute those orders. I mean, how gangster is that too? Like, you come back to your squad and be like, yo, these dudes, they picked me up. This is what happened.
He didn't like go get his homies though. Like, he raised an army.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I.
And
isn't that the same thing though?
But I don't know. I mean, I think it's one thing when you're like, hey, come help me out. To where it's like, no, we're gonna move an army.
We're gonna mobilize.
Yeah, we're gonna mobilize. You know, let's get some ships. I know where these guys hang out.
We're gonna strategize with this.
I know where they're keeping me.
That's amazing. That is crazy. I mean, like, I mean, the history on that is so far too. It's like, how do we know that actually happened? Maybe it's more of like a bravado too. That they're kind of like.
I think the history is pretty accurate. I just think there's so much. Like, when I was researching this, there was so much about so and so. It was like a telenovela.
Yeah,
you know? It was like. And so was
buddies biblical too. That times,
it was buddies with this guy, and then that guy, and then this guy, and then they were all related to this guy, and then he married his cousin, and so it was like the craziest thing ever.
Is it Alabama?
Yeah, no, it was the Roman Empire, but that pretty much sums this episode up of the Shit Podcast. Julius Caesar, and that, you know, if you think about it, maybe that's why they named Julius Caesar the boxer after this guy. You know, I don't know.
Who knows?
Julio Cesar, that's pretty tough.
I mean, it's a strong name. You know,
strong name. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a reputation for, you know, taking out some fucking pirates, you know, I'll name my kid Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, or maybe the pirates weren't as badass as we.
Yeah,
think.
They were just some weak ass pirate.
Yeah, maybe they're Somalian pirates. You know, maybe they were like, "I'm the captain now." You know what I'm saying?
I am the captain now. And then when
and you're like, "You're a pirate," you know, it's like
that's exactly what Cesar
like,
said. Cesar said, he said, like, "I am the captain now."
I am the captain now. You know, so that wraps us up. Hey, Josh, where can people find you on your social media?
You can find me at Just Joshin Comedy on all social media platforms, on Facebook, and Twitter, and Instagram. And that's all one word, Just Joshin Comedy.
Well, I want to thank you for being on this episode of the Shit Podcast. And what do you got? I mean, right now we're all kind of stopped with the stand-up comedy because of the COVID.
Don't say the C word.
But what do we got coming up in Austin, man? I know you were doing the Latino shows.
Right. So I had my all Latino showcase that brought in Austin, Texas. I'm only one to do it in Austin, and I promote a lot of Latino comedians and Latino culture with my podcast called Border Laughs Podcast.
Nice.
And the name of the show is called Border Laughs. And I call it Border Laughs because I'm from the border, and I like to represent that culture and that style, and promote a lot of Latino artists out there in Austin. Well, and get some recognition.
I appreciate it. I got to do your show last year. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was a good crowd out there, and it was all Latino, so it was fun.
Definitely, you know, come on by and check us out at Border Laughs, if you're in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, you can find me on Está Cagado Podcast on Instagram. Also, Tu Amigo Sam on all the other platforms. We're on Spotify and all the different podcast platforms if you guys want to listen on your drive. Thank you very much for joining us. That's been this episode of the Shit Podcast.
Te watcho.